So today I'm going to teach you how to make ziti. Let's start by washing our hands first. I want to begin by saying that this meal should not take that long to cook. Your average cook time is probably going to be about a half hour, maybe 40 minutes. You're going to need one boiling pot, a spatula, and a good cooking spoon. A strainer, one frying pan, ragu traditional sauce, 1 pound of ground beef. I like to use panini noodles, but you can use ziti noodles or rigatoni noodles, but I prefer the panini. You also need 2 cups of mozzarella. Now, I got the 32-ounce ricotta. They don't sell the 1 pint anymore. You also need salt. But yeah, at the store I go to, they don't sell the smaller containers of ricotta cheese. You need olive oil. Now let's fill the pot with water first before we work on anything else. Remember, it works best when boiling noodles to get as hot of water in the pot before you even put it on the oven. This way you can diminish a little bit of the time it takes to get the water going. Now we'll put the strainer in the sink like last time. Turn our burner on high. You want to open your ground beef and put it in the pan. Just give that a little shake. Now while that gets started, we're going to turn the water off. And move the pot over to the stove, as you see. Now we're going to add salt to the water. It's going to take a few seconds for the pan that the meat is in to actually start browning the meat. So you got a few seconds. You can add in the salt. Like I said, I like to use about 20 shakes. It's a lot of water. And you really don't taste the salt. It just helps keep the noodles from sticking together. Same with the olive oil. Now we're brown the meat. And just for the record, yes, I do cook other food besides Italian. Italian just happens to be one of the things I find easiest to cook. Spaghetti, Alfredo, ziti, stuffed shells. I have a little trouble when it comes to lasagnas, but I don't know. I like my lasagna, so. Try not to let any fall out of the pan. Chop it up kind of while you stir. Get it to where there's no more pink in the meat. Now at this point, it's very hot. It's very bubbly, so you want to keep a close eye. And once you're done, you put your olive oil in, put the pot on the burner. Now you come over here. I already strained the meat. I'm running the hot water because I did put grease down the drain. So I'm going to let this hot water run a little bit to kind of clear out the drain. And there you can see the meat's already browned and waiting for the final bit. Also, this will help clean it out so we don't get grease all over the noodles when we put them in there. Now we're going to turn the oven on to 400. Get that ready for the garlic bread. And we're going to wait to put that in the oven until after the noodles are just about done. Now we wait for our water to boil. So like I was saying earlier, yes, Walmart used to sell the brand of ricotta cheese in a smaller size, which really you can use for ziti if you can find it. I think it's like a pint. They stopped selling those, though, for some reason, and they only have 2 brands. They have a smaller one in their Walmart brand, but I've tried the Walmart brand in many foods that I use ricotta cheese in, and it does not taste nearly as good as the name brand. So if you can find a name brand, I would say go with that. Now we're going to let this boil here for 12 minutes. Using my phone as a timer this time. Now, like before, you can stir this occasionally. You don't have to sit there and constantly stir it every second because of all the olive oil and salt. You can do a better, more heavy stir than with the stuffed shells because these are not as likely to break. Now I'm just funneling out a little of the extra water because it was starting to get a little too high. Like I said, you do want to boil this on high for the 12 minutes. So just kind of keep a pot nearby that you can funnel out some of the extra water in if it starts to look like it's going to overflow. Now, I am not showing this in real time, obviously, because then the video would be a lot longer. So I'm actually sped this up. This and when I brown the meat, I sped those 2 scenes up for you. But yes, this is going a full 12 minutes. So if anybody is trying these out, please, I'm going to ask you, if you try this recipe out, leave a comment on the video and a like or a dislike if you like the food, and let me know. I mean, everybody's taste buds are different. I'm not saying you have to enjoy it, but if you did enjoy it, or if you just want to leave a honest review of the cooking, how it turned out for you, I'd love to hear from you guys. See all those comments in the comment section telling me whether it turned out really good, if you burned it. Now, I'm going to give you an extra little tip here. After you're all done cooking it this way, if you want to add a little extra flair, you can put it in a square pan and add some extra Parmesan and mozzarella cheese to the top to turn it into baked ziti. So we're going to go to commercial real quick, and I will see you when we get back. All right, we're back. And we got 2.5 minutes remaining. Now, one thing I like to do when I normally cook is I like to listen to music. Um, Basically anything. It kind of helps me as a writer because it gives me a chance to really get into the music and sing along with the music, which can put me in a mood to write as soon as I'm done eating. So we're going to go ahead and put the bread in now. We're going to set that for 10 minutes. This is why I'm using two, because we still had a little time left on the noodles. I was just double checking here real quick. Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah, but since I had a little time left still on the noodles, I decided to go ahead and use two timers. So now we strain the noodles. Just going to let that dry a little bit. Just get all the water out down the drain. Now, I have not turned the oven off. And I'm using a different pot. That's why I'm leaving it on high for the second. Let that tomato sauce come in and get hot right out the gate. The reason why is I had something already set up. So we're going to add the noodles in, give it a nice little stir. Now we're going to add in the ricotta cheese. Now, since I am using a bigger container here, I'm going to use a spoon, and I'm going to only use probably about half of the container. You could probably get away with less than half. I definitely would not recommend the full size container. Now I'm going to add the meat, which has cooled down considerably. But since we still have plenty of time while we wait for the garlic bread to finish, mixing in with the warm noodles, and we're going to leave it on medium. It'll warm back up. And I just use a full 2 cups of cheese. Now we'll top it off with the rest of the sauce. You can use less sauce. It really depends. I like to use more sauce because of the garlic bread. It really makes it a little bit more saucy. So you have something to use with the garlic bread. Now you gotta be real careful kind of stirring. It's a little hard to stir at first, but once you get going, and as the cheeses melt together, it starts to become a lot easier to stir it up. But yeah, you just wanna keep it on medium so it'll keep cooking while you stir. And once we get it all done, we'll probably just keep stirring it every 1 or 2 minutes. See, I try to make sure I got all the sauce here. Now, this is a dish that your kids will love if you have kids. Or you could even use it as a date food. If you got a nice romantic date coming over and you want to show that you know how to cook and have a candlelit dinner for two, you could even probably get something to like little garnish to put on top. Make it look really fancy. Like I said, we're just going to stir this about every minute or two. This is why I waited till this point in the cooking process. Now I'm taking a little bit here while it's not super hot because my daughter, she's only 5, and I want to make sure it's not too hot for her. But yeah, I waited till this point in the process to start the garlic bread because I knew we were going to have 10 minutes or so where we were going to basically be waiting for the cheese to melt and letting it all warm up. You get a nice, good bread knife. Now, this basket looking thing is actually something I got for tater tots and fries, but it works really well. It's perfectly sized for garlic bread. I normally find that the 10 minutes alone in the oven safe bags that Walmart sells the garlic bread in isn't quite enough time. I have had some really bad experiences with the butter not being melted all the way. It just comes out and is still not very hot at all, but the bag is burning. I've even had times where I buy Walmart's garlic bread and there's no garlic and butter on the bread. I open it up and there's nothing. It's just a loaf of bread, and they sold me garlic bread. I actually took pictures and went back to Walmart the next day and said, yeah, look, this is what you guys sold me. This is the second time it's happened. I get home, I open it up, after putting it in the oven, and there's no garlic on my garlic bread. I'm not a really fussy person, but, they asked me if I want a refund or a free one. I'm like, no. I just want to let you know that whoever is in your bakery is not putting garlic on the garlic bread. So we're going to give this about 2 more minutes. So if there are any readers that are watching these videos, aside from my books, I'm curious as to what books you're currently into reading. Myself, I'm a huge fan of Stephen King. Also, a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft's work. Yes, I know all about the author H.P. Lovecraft and his views, but I care about his stories mainly. I really like his stories, and I don't try to read too much into them. I just read the stories for the entertainment value, for the creepiness. And there goes our timer. So we're going to pull it out, check it. Oh, that looks so good. It was good, too. Actually, it all turned out extremely well tonight. I'm so happy. So there's my daughter's plate. And there's my plate. Add a couple forks. Cut up the bread. Add the bread. And look at that. Looks so good. Well, I really hope to hear good comments that everybody tried this and liked it. And yeah, like I said, this is not that hard to make. It's not that expensive either. All in all, it'll probably cost you about $15 for the items to make the food-wise. Obviously a pot's going to cost you more than $15, depending on what kind of pot you get, but hopefully you have that stuff. But if you have this stuff, it's a pretty good, easy, quick meal. And the family will love it. It's also very filling. Well, I look forward to seeing you all in a future video, and happy writing. You can follow me on Twitter, and you can also check me out on Facebook. And if you'd like, you can also subscribe to my channel, where I will have more cooking videos in the future, and I have plenty of other content to check out.